Hello everyone and welcome back to another IcePyre video guide. In today's video, we are going to be doing a complete guide to getting the Big Blue Blob achievement in EU4. This achievement requires the player to own 100 European core provinces as France, before the year 1500. It's considered to be a relatively difficult achievement, and many players do not achieve it until they have built up a good amount of experience playing the game. A lot has changed with Europa Universalis 4 with the Emperor update and patch 1.30, and the Big Blue Blob achievement has arguably gotten a bit harder. But I promise if you follow along with this guide, you will have no problem getting the achievement with relative ease. And if you like that sort of thing and stick around to the end of the video, I'll show you guys a couple of exploits to make this achievement a little bit easier. I've broken this video up into several chapters, so if you're following along, you'll be able to easily navigate through the relevant segments, so check down below in the description for the timestamps. With all that being said, I hope you enjoy this video guide, and let's get started. First, we'll talk about the opening moves. Ideally, Castile should be friendly. If Castile is not friendly, you should restart. Having a friendly Castile is important. Their size and strength play a huge part in deterring coalitions from attacking, and having them as an ally is pretty important. If both Castile and Burgundy are both friendly to us, and aren't rival to each other, feel free to ally Burgundy as well. They will act as a great barrier between us and the HRE, further limiting our aggressive expansion impact. When we load in, set your rivals to England, Denmark, and either Austria, Aragon, or Burgundy. Send an alliance offer to Castile, then cancel our alliance with Provence and our guarantee over Scotland. We will be attacking Scotland later. And there is a high likelihood that the Pope will excommunicate Provence, so cancelling this alliance now is important. If Provence becomes excommunicated when you do not have a truce with them, you should attack them without hesitation because of the low aggressive expansion penalty, but more on that later. Now we'll do a few things with the new estates, and then after that we won't mess with them anymore. Buy back your crown land from your estates and choose this privilege with the nobility. Increased manpower is incredibly important when going for this achievement, so it is well worth the decrease in tax income and the absolutism penalty. Then we'll build 3 infantry regiments down in the Gascony region. Let a few days tick by if your diplomats aren't free and send one to improve relations with the Papal State. There is a high likelihood that the Pope will excommunicate us early on, so getting positive relations with them is important. If we become excommunicated, there is a chance that the run will be ruined and we'll have to restart. Send your units to border England and assign your generals. You may also assign a level 1 military advisor. A morale advisor is ideal, but a fort defense or manpower advisor will do just as well. When you're done with all of your month 1 moves, set your speed to as fast as you're comfortable with and wait until the 11th of December. In this next segment, we'll talk about the war with England, the most important part of the run. At this point, England should have only Portugal and maybe 1 Irish minor as allies. If they have any bigger allies than that, restart your run and try again. We are going to declare war in England before the surrender of main event fires. So if the surrender of main event has fired already before the 11th of December, restart your run and try again. If you mucked up like me and sent a spy network to England, you'll have to wait a few extra days to send a declaration of war, so feel free to build a spy network after the war starts to gain an increase in your siege ability. This war is rather tricky, since England starts with bonuses to infantry combat ability, so we'll make sure to cover it in as much detail as possible. When you declare, send your 13 stack to Bordeaux and your 15 stack to Caen. I set the war goal to Caen, so after I take the fort, it is hard for England to take back the war goal. When your units finish building, have them join your 13 stack down in Bordeaux. Your vassals tend to suicide into Portugal, so set war goals for them in the Normandy provinces, including Calais. While your 15 stack and vassals siege down Normandy, leave your 16 stack in Bordeaux. Portugal will almost always send a 15k stack through Vizcaya. When they pass through Armagnac, which is a woods fort, send your troops to fight them. You will get a defensive terrain bonus due to the fort and win easily. After the battle, we stack wipe their forces, which allows us to siege down the fort, blocking us from Iberia. With the Portuguese threat being taken care of for now, we'll tell our units to detach and head back north. Right about now, England is trying to land their troops in Portugal and march through Iberia to the south of France. So if we finish our siege in the north before their forces arrive, we should be in good shape. When we finish our siege on Caen, we let our vassals finish Calais, and send our 15 stack down to Iberia to siege down and separate peace the Portuguese, for their money and war reparations. We also want to annul their treaties with England if possible. Try to avoid any unnecessary offensive battles and don't make the mistake I made here. Fight the enemy in defensive terrain and you should be okay. Luckily, we were able to retreat and send our larger stack to support the weaker one. England made the mistake of sieging down a fort that we occupy, which allows us to attack them while they have an offensive penalty. After a surprising stack wipe, we've eliminated a significant amount of the enemy forces. And we can siege down the 2 Portuguese Iberian forts without much challenge. If England sends troops to unsiege the war goal, send one of your stacks to deal with them and they shouldn't put up much of a fight. With one stack sieging down Portugal and the other taking some more fights on defensive terrain, we were able to piece them out easily for a good amount of money. Now all we have to do is play defensive and wait for the ticking war score from occupying the war goal to reach enough so that we can reclaim all of our existing cores, plus the province of Pale in Ireland. Taking Pale is incredibly important, because in our next step we will be fabricating claims on and fighting the Irish miners. With some luck and some practice, you should be able to replicate this war every single time and achieve this result. You'll unlock some more missions here that will increase your stability and give you a bunch of more permanent claims on Provence and Burgundy. We will not be using these claims unless we are lucky enough to fight Provence when they are excommunicated. Unfortunately, in this run we did not have that luck, but it shouldn't matter for the overall strategy. In this next segment, we'll talk about fighting the Irish miners and getting ready to fight Scotland and then England for a second time. Send your troops back to northern France and send a stack to Pale. Start building spy networks on all bordering Irish nations while we wait for our manpower to recover. When we reach 20, fabricate a claim and move on to the next nation. We take less aggressive expansion when taking land that we have claims on, and they cost 0 diplo points in a peace deal. Try to declare war on Irish miners that have allies whom you also have claims on, and make sure to co-belligerent any allies that would be called in, so long as these allies are also Irish miners. This will let you take land without accruing too much aggressive expansion. Make sure not to take any land from nations that are non-co-belligerent. This will accrue too much aggressive expansion, so just piece them out for money and come back for them later. We'll slowly begin to recover our manpower during this period of Irish wars, since we are easily able to stack wipe any army on the island. After we've taken a few provinces and we have claims on every single Irish province, start building a spy network on Scotland. We will be attacking them next. In our run here, we were fortunate enough to have Naples become a free nation, and we gained a restoration of the Union Casus Belli on them due to an event. We used this opportunity to declare war on them before they could get any allies, and quickly siege them down. The aggressive expansion from doing this was minimal, and we gained a decent addition to our vassal swarm. Again, this was a good opportunity and is not necessary for getting the achievement. If you're lucky like me and get some personal unions during your run, it just makes the achievement that much more easy. Also during this time, you should be building some heavy ships. I built up to a total of 7 heavies in this run. This will allow us to have naval superiority over Scotland when we declare on them. During this time as well, the day will likely pass 1454. This means we can begin to annex some of our vassals. Pick one to improve relations with and begin to annex them. From this point on, we should be always trying to annex a subject. In this next segment, we'll talk about fighting Scotland. After you've eliminated all the Irish miners whom you don't have a truce with or have too strong of allies to make it worth fighting them, declare war on Scotland. Chances are they will have allied at least 1 or maybe 2 Irish miners who you left alive. Check to make sure that Scotland's Irish allies don't have too strong of alliances themselves and co-belligerent the ones that you can. We should have a few Scottish claims by now, so we can go to war right away. Put your ships in the Irish Sea and march them over to Scotland. This should be an easy war unless they have some strong European allies, and if they do, focus on piecing them out of the war ASAP, then move on to Scotland. Piece them out for something that looks similar to this. But make sure that you take Sutherland. This province is essential for fabricating claims on Norway, which has 3 bordering provinces. Sometime during this war or shortly after piecing out, begin fabricating claims on England and Norway by building a spy network on Denmark. In this next segment, we'll talk about going to war with England for a second time. Our truce with England should be ending shortly. Now we can use the claims that we fabricated to go to war with them again. They might have gained a few more allies during this time, but they should be a lot weaker than before. Just make sure you have sufficient troops already landed in Scotland, because their navy may be stronger than ours still. In this run, they have 6 heavies to our 7, but we take strategic fights to only engage their light ships or cogs, and piece them out for Wales and a few other lower development provinces. Now we'll talk about the Scandinavians. After you've finished your English cores and recovered your troops a bit, it's time to start attacking the Scandinavians. Split your units and send a small stack to siege down the Norwegian islands, including Iceland. Then send your main forces to begin sieging the Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish forts. Keep your units close together as the big super stacks of Swedes and Danes could come out of nowhere and ruin your day. The enemy will likely march into mainland France while you obliterate their forts, and they take their leisurely time. An important thing to keep in mind during this war is to keep your ships out of the Baltic. Your heavies will beat the Danish navies in open sea, but in inland seas like the Baltic, your ships will lose to their galleys. If you lose too many ships, our abilities to win future wars will be diminished substantially, and we might have to restart or go back to a save scum. Eventually, you will wear down the Danish manpower and morale, and though this war will likely take a long time because you can't siege down the Danish capital, you'll eventually be able to piece them out for the majority of their northern provinces in Norway and Sweden so that you can border Muscovy or Novgorod. In my run, Muscovy and Denmark had already eaten Novgorod, but if they are still around, feel free to fabricate claims on them and fight them as well. They will have very few allies or very weak allies. You will not be able to core all of the land that you take in this war, but eventually you will be able to, and because there's such low development, the overextension will be minimal. In this next segment, we'll talk about going back into the British Isles for a second time. Leave a few troops in Scandinavia to suppress rebels and bring the rest back to the British Isles. While you are waiting for your Scandinavian cores to finish, fabricate more claims on Scotland and England. Your truce with Scotland should be up shortly, and by now you might have a fledgling coalition forming. Be sure to improve relations with nations with less than -50 aggressive expansion penalty to get them to not join or leave the coalition. When the truce is up with Scotland, you will have to declare immediately to prevent them from joining. The same goes for England, which will be after the war with Scotland. Only take their low development provinces that they have left and leave their capital in the peace deal if it is too high dev. If coalitions are really giving you trouble, try allying Poland if they are not a rival. They will likely have Lithuania as a PU subject, and their numbers will greatly decrease the likelihood of a coalition firing. When the truce ends with England, declare on them as well. You may only be able to take a few provinces from them, but by beating them in the war, you will prevent them from joining a coalition and can take money, which you may be desperately needing at this point. Take as many low development provinces as you can without bringing in large coalition members like Austria. And make sure to use this time to fabricate claims on the Scandinavians again. In this last segment, we'll talk about Scandinavia for a second time. When your truce expires with the Scandinavians, go back in on Denmark. You will take as many low development provinces as possible in this war. And if you follow along with this guide and are having a decent run in terms of timing, then you will be able to take enough provinces to put you over the 100 provinces required for the achievement. If that's not the case, you may need to declare war on Brittany, Provence, or Aragon, the Teutonic Order or Livonia, or even Muscovy to force some additional land. If you've taken influence ideas and are annexing your subjects properly, you should be above the 100 province mark relatively easily. From here you'll be able to siege down the Danish, Swedish, and Norwegian forts for a second time, and even beat their navy to land troops in Sjælland. In this run they've allied Poland, but due to the Polish debt they did not join the war. If Denmark has some larger allies, you may have a harder time during the Second War, but your superior manpower should allow you to piece out any allies rather quickly for money, and then move on north to carve out some land for yourself. After you've pieced out for as many low-cost provinces as possible, you can suppress rebels and speed 5 until you finish your cores and get the achievement. This run took me about 3 hours of leisurely playing, as well as some recording and strategizing for what I would say in this video guide, so you might be able to do this in a very short amount of time if you've mastered it and have done it a couple times. This strategy is pretty similar to the one used in patch 1.29, so it's not a surprise that it still works in patch 1.30, despite the changes. If you haven't got a World Conquest before, this is probably my favorite strategy. My first World Conquest was a France game where I went influence into administrative ideas, just like I did in this run, and used the same strategy of going in on England early, and invading Ireland and Scotland to go to war with the English without worrying about their navy. From this position, we should be easily able to deal with any coalition that does fire, which likely will not, and go for that World Conquest and any other French achievements. And now, as promised, some exploits to help you out in your run if you like to be a little bit tricksy like me. And now the first step for this exploit is to create a custom nation save file with the traits for your rulers and the ideas that you choose. I already have one prepared, so we'll jump into the exploit. This exploit has not changed since patch 1.29, so if you know what I'm talking about, you can go ahead and try it yourself and it should work. We'll create a normal game save file first and we'll go to the diplomatic tab. We'll enter in the tilde key and type in debug_mode. This will allow us to see the province IDs. From here, we'll type in the annex province ID command to annex the provinces that we already have cores on. We'll also annex some provinces in Ireland and Scotland to give us an advantage in not having to go to war with Scotland or Ireland right away, and going on the Scandinavians from day one. Once we have the provinces that we desire, we should save the game and go back to the menu. From here, create a custom nation over all of the provinces that we have selected, and hit done. Now go over to the left side and click on any Iron Man save file. The game will ask you if you want to delete your custom nation, and now hit cancel. And now we'll try adding a new custom nation over in this uncolonized province. From here, we should hit the shift key and then right click on the badge in the top right corner, and then hit the interface GUI button. We do this twice in rapid succession, and we are back at the menu. Cancel out of the first two windows that you see, and the custom nation button should reappear at the bottom right. Click it and then modify the custom nation. Cancel out of two more windows, and you should see that the banners at the bottom of the screen have reappeared. Select France and then hit load for your custom nation save files. Cancel out of the remaining windows, and you should be left with just the load save file menu. Make sure France is still selected on the right hand menu, and then load your save file onto the nation. You will see that your ideas have changed on the right hand side. Now just delete your custom nations. It will ask you to delete France. You say OK, delete your last custom nation, and then you are good to go. From here, hit France, hit play, and select Iron Man, and you should give yourself an incredible advantage and save yourself at least one, maybe two wars at the start of the game. Now just follow along with the guide that prefaced this, and you should be on your way to the Big Blue Blob achievement in no time. I want to thank you all for watching another IcePyre EU4 video guide, and if you liked this video, please give a like and subscribe down below. The likes really help up the video for the YouTube algorithm. And if you are new here, join the Discord server. Here we have a dedicated channel to discuss EU4 exploits, general discussion, and submit ideas for new videos. And if you're so keen, follow me on Twitter at IcePyre Gaming. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.